The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember which are true and which are urban legends. In this episode, called Twisted Fate, you'll see 3 stories about the lives turned upside down by Lady Luck. First up, Kevin Stefen uses his first aid skills on a very important person. Then Anmary Duark attempts to catch her husband cheating, but is shocked at her findings. And finally, Carrie Seabrook sees something fall out of the sky that leaves him dumbfounded. Watch all 3 stories and decide which ones are true and which ones are false. Find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. First, it's a story we call What Goes Around. Buffalo, New York is known for its chicken wings. Others know it as a city of good neighbors. And one young Buffalonian is living proof that one good turn really does deserve another. Meet Kevin Stefen.
So as a volunteer firefighter, I've gotten a lot of first aid training, and you learn how to help people, like emergency first aid.
But Kevin had no idea just how helpful his first aid skills would prove to be. In January 2006, 18-year-old Kevin is a part-time busboy in a local restaurant when his mother and sister walk in.
I was in the back washing dishes. I just brought a tray of dishes back.
Kevin was up working because normally he wouldn't work during the day, but exam week, they asked him if he would come in early and do an early shift instead, and so he did.
Suddenly, one of the other diners gets something lodged in her throat.
I look up and I see Penny Brown. Her face is all red. She's got her hands to her neck, and she was choking.
Are you okay?
I screamed out, "She's choking!"
Okay, come on. Come on.
Kevin is alerted by the commotion in the restaurant.
Breathe, come on.
And I ran over there, and the waitress stepped out of the way.
Can you breathe at all?
Trained in first aid, Kevin puts his skills to use.
And I gave a really hard thrust of the Heimlich maneuver.
I'm gonna give you the Heimlich, hold on.
And nothing happened. I could still hear her choking and gagging.
She just eked out the words, "Help me." It was, you know, something that you'll never forget, that sound of someone being so desperate for help.
I'm gonna give you the Heimlich, hold on.
With the Heimlich not working, Penny Brown is rapidly running out of time. But this isn't the first time Kevin's been involved in a life or death situation. Back in 1999, 11-year-old Kevin is involved in a freak baseball accident.
Kevin was in the dugout, picking up the bats, doing what bat boys do.
I would just be the bat boy, and I'd run out and grab the bats. You know, I had my little bat boy towel and whatever.
And one of the young players was warming up, and on his backswing, didn't know Kevin was behind him.
Kevin stepped too close to his teammate.
Just got hit by something. I didn't know what it was, and it didn't even really hurt. It just knocked the wind right out of me.
Kevin, are you okay, sweetie?
His heart was stopped. He wasn't breathing.
Are you okay?
I panicked.
What, sweetie?
Back up. It's for me. I'm a nurse. It's okay. It's okay.
An off-duty nurse happens to be in the crowd, and she rushes to resuscitate Kevin.
He may be in arrest. Come on, big guy. Don't leave us now.
Procedure is to pound like a couple times on a kid's chest, like as hard as you can. That didn't work, so that's when she started CPR.
Do something.
There you are.
The next thing I remember is just the light slowly fading back in.
It's okay.
What's your name, buddy? What's your name? Kevin.
The nurse has brought Kevin back from the dead. The experience inspires him to learn first aid for himself.
It really was kind of a realization that, you know, I might need to use this because it was used on me.
You're okay, buddy.
Breathe, come on.
7 years later, back at the restaurant, Kevin gets his chance. He tries the Heimlich one last time. Thanks to Kevin, Penny can breathe again. But Kevin's mom has some jaw-dropping news about the woman he's just saved.
Kevin, do you not know who that is?
Mrs. Brown saved your life 7 years ago on the baseball field, and today you saved her life.
10 years ago.
You're not that little boy.
It has all the hallmarks of something more than just a coincidence.
And I was absolutely in shock. I couldn't believe it. And they said I walked around the rest of the day with a huge smile on my face, and all the cooks were like, they couldn't believe it. Everyone was just in complete shock at what had just happened.
Things are even more shocking when they realize that 7 years earlier, Penny shouldn't have been at the baseball game.
She was supposed to be at work, but they were overstaffed that night, and she got the night off.
And Kevin was only able to save Penny because he was covering someone else's shift.
Why was he there that particular day when normally he would have been in school? It's like all these little pieces that were put together.
It's a good day.
The mysterious forces of karma have thrown Kevin and Penny together in a life-saving pact. So is this a true life story, or was it just a Heimlich hoax? Find out at the end of the show. But before then, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 1099, Off the Rails. Businessman Todd Smith boards a night train from London to Berlin. Single and alone, Todd heads to the bar for a drink before bed. At the bar, he meets a pretty schoolteacher named Carol, who's also traveling alone. After talking for hours, it's clear they feel a connection, so Carol invites Todd back to her cabin for a night of passion. The next morning, a happy Todd wakes up and finds that Carol has vanished. He gets out of bed, but can't find his suitcase or wallet. Then, Todd looks out the window. The train car has been disconnected and is stopped next to a field. So is this great train robbery true, or have we gone off the rails? It's false. Railroad passengers in the U.S. have told this tale since the 1940s, and it still hasn't lost any steam. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. You must decide which ones are full-on facts and which ones are made-up myths. So far, you've seen the tale of Kevin Stefen, the kid who was brought back from the dead by an off-duty nurse, only to save her from choking 7 years later. But is it real or fake? We'll let you know at the end of the show. Now it's time for our next story. It's called Costume Comeuppance. The 24-hour nightlife of Miami, Florida attracts beautiful people looking for a good time. But for some residents, the constant temptation of wall-to-wall eye candy is too much to handle. Meet Anmary and David Duark. Their marriage is being torn apart by suspicions of infidelity.
David and I had been married for about 4 years, and for the most part, it had been good. But that last year was a bit shaky.
We've been having a bit of a rough year. Annie was convinced that I'd been cheating on her.
I knew that he had had an affair.
Although nothing had ever happened, there was nothing I could do or say that could change her mind.
Anne-Marie simply couldn't be convinced, but when she hatched a plan to catch her husband in the act, she got a whole lot more than she bargained for. In February 1989, the couple are preparing to go to a very exclusive Mardi Gras party.
Honey, what do you think of this mask?
But Anne-Marie decided to use the function to test David's fidelity.
It occurred to me, he hasn't even seen my costume yet. He has no idea what I'm gonna look like. So I thought, what a perfect opportunity. I'm gonna go to this party. No one's gonna recognize me.
God.
So she pretends to be struck down with a severe migraine.
Oh, God.
I didn't know what to say. She had a headache or something. I was asking her if she's all right. Does she need any pills or a doctor, or what can I do?
No, just...
I said to him, you know what, just go. I'm sure you're gonna manage to have a good time without me. Just go and enjoy yourself. So he finally left.
Now, Anne-Marie can put her plan into action.
I got dressed up, was looking good, went to the party.
Incognito, Anne-Marie searches for her husband.
But I couldn't find David anywhere. It was kind of strange, I went around the party and I couldn't find him or his costume.
However, Anne-Marie's costume attracts unwanted attention from James Trolley, the neighborhood lech.
Stand over here and I'm very confused. If you're lost.
He's totally obnoxious. And he keeps hitting on me. I mean, these like really hideous pickup lines.
Pardon?
I think it was something about, you wanna jump up, riding, that's what it was. Do you wanna ride the James Trolley? Oh my God.
I'll give you a lift on the James Trolley Express. Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Then I kept circling the party. I wanted to find David. After a little while, I saw David. I was absolutely shocked. He's got his hands all over this woman.
Time for Anne-Marie to get the proof she craves.
I started flirting with him. And he was just right all over it. Flirting right back, right into it. And I kept hoping that at some point he would back out.
As things get steamy, Anne-Marie gets the proof of David's infidelity she's been looking for.
I could not believe that he cheated on me, At least he thought he was cheating on me.
Having collected the evidence, Anne-Marie races home to confront her husband once and for all.
Hello, lover. Like my mask?
David has never seen her mask before. Anne-Marie is confused.
What happened at the party tonight?
Not a whole lot, actually. It was pretty lame.
There were some guys who were playing poker down the basement, and so I went down and joined them, and instead of staying upstairs at the party.
Okay, fellas, can I join this? Of course.
So, who's upstairs?
A very wet James Trolley arrives downstairs.
Some crazy chick just soaked me in your drink.
Holy man.
But I was just playing poker. I didn't need my costume, so I loaned it to James to use for the evening.
James Trolley wore your outfit?
Yeah.
The awful truth hits Anne-Marie.
I didn't know. I thought it was David.
So, is this story real, or are we simply masking the truth? Find out at the end of the show. But before that, check out this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 781, what a boob. Dora Oberling is an exotic dancer at a club in Tampa, Florida. One night, an elderly patron starts to argue with Dora outside the club about the price of a dance. Things get heated, and he pulls out a gun and shoots. To her horror, Dora discovers she's been shot in her left breast. Paramedics arrive on the scene and are amazed to see her walking. Usually, this type of wound is fatal. Later, doctors find that the miracle is thanks to Dora's 36D breast implants. Somehow, the scar tissue in a silicone bag were enough to stop a speeding bullet. So is this story a falsie? It's true. Doctors believe Dora's fake breast really did save her life. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 jaw-dropping stories. Your job is to pick the actual anecdotes from the ridiculous rumors. So far, you've seen the tale of Kevin Stefen, the busboy who unknowingly saved the life of the woman who'd saved his 7 years earlier. And the story of Anmary Duark, the suspicious wife who went undercover to trick her husband into cheating, but ended up being unfaithful herself. But which one of these stories are the real deal? All will be revealed at the end of the show. Now it's time for our final story. This one's called Bright Flight. Nestled in the middle of the Canadian prairie, the small town of Gimli is renowned for its big skies. One day, something very weird fell out of the heavens in Gimli, and these guys saw it happen. Meet childhood buddies Carrie Seabrook and Art Zook. In July 1983, Carrie, Art, and another friend were riding their bikes on Gimli drag strip after racing had ended for the day.
The three of us were hanging out, thinking about what we're going to do to pass our time. We looked towards the eastern sky, and we saw this aircraft coming in. This was a large jet airliner coming in to Gimli, which is just something that we never see.
It caught our attention because of A, the size of it, and B, the fact that it wasn't making any sound.
We're deer in the headlights watching this enormous aircraft coming at us.
The boys are dumbstruck by this eerily silent plane. Two hours earlier in Montreal, Captain Bob Pearson prepares for a flight that will change his life forever. Bob's Boeing 767 is bound for Edmonton, Canada.
We just crossed over a line of thunderstorms with a cold front moving into Ontario. One of the fuel tank low-pressure fuel warning lights came on.
If the warning light is to be believed, the plane won't have enough fuel to reach its destination.
A few minutes later, another low-pressure fuel warning light illuminated in that tank. Then the left engine failed. And we prepared for a single-engine landing.
Bob is trained to fly and land with just one engine.
I can remember hearing a loud bong, which I'd never heard before.
What's going on?
Everything went black in the cockpit. I think we've had a second engine failure.
Now, with no power and both engines dead, the jet is losing altitude.
I did a lot of gliding in the 60s.
Bob hopes he can fly the 150-ton jet just like a glider.
We had made the decision to divert the flight to unused airport, like in Gimli.
But Bob doesn't know the runway's been turned into a drag strip, or that Carrie, Art, and their friend are on it.
The piece of pavement that that airliner was aiming for to land on was the same piece of pavement that the three of us were standing on.
No one has ever landed a 767 safely with no engines before. The lives of 69 passengers and crew are in his hands.
Okay, well, look, let me know when you want the landing gear. I can force the landing gear now.
Doors fell open by gravity, and the gear extended and locked into place.
The nose wheel hasn't deployed properly, and to make matters worse, the plane is going to overshoot the runway.
We were getting too high for a safe landing on the runway.
To slow the plane down, Bob steers the jet in a side slip, a trick he learned in his gliding days.
We were just mesmerized by it coming in.
Bob battles to slow the jet's silent descent.
The aircraft lost altitude very quickly. It was basically falling out of the sky at that point.
Realizing the plane is seconds away from running them down, the boys pedal for their lives.
The nose of the plane started to touch down, and now the plane is sliding in on its nose. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it comes towards us.
I looked up and saw boys on bicycles, and they were pedaling frantically for the left side of the runway.
Thanks to Bob and his crew, there are no fatalities.
Wow, what an event, because this doesn't happen in Gimli, it doesn't happen in real life, but apparently on one day in 1983 it did.
Or did it? Is this story the plain truth, or is it just a flight of fantasy? You don't have to wait much longer to find out. All will be revealed after this final mini-myth. Mini-myth number 414, Shopper in Distress. Inside a trendy fashion boutique, Sherry Donovan picks out a dress to try on. As she goes into the change room, she puts her purse on the floor. Sherry undresses and is almost naked when she notices a hand reaching under the door, grabbing at her purse. Sherry screams, but it's too late. Her purse is gone. Later at home, a distraught Sherry gets a phone call from the store. They found her handbag. But when Sherry arrives back at the store, the sales clerk knows nothing of the call. Bewildered, Sherry returns home, and to her horror, her house has been robbed of everything. So did Sherry get duped in this purse scam? Or are we just pulling your strings? This story is false. This tale has been told since the 1950s. Settings include places of worship, swimming pools, and gas stations. Now it's time to reveal the truth about our three stories. First up, it's the tale of Anmary Duark, the woman who tried to seduce her husband at a costume party, only to find out that he had swapped his outfit with someone else. But is it true or false?
This story is false. So get your minds out of the gutter. I would never cheat on my husband.
This masked myth has been around since 1965 and is regularly featured in magazines who dress it up as a reader's true story. Next, it's the story of Kevin Stefen. A nurse resuscitated Kevin after a freak baseball accident. Then, 7 years later, Kevin unknowingly saved the very same nurse from choking. But was this tale too hard to stomach?
My name is Lorraine Stefen, and this is a true story.
It's true. What goes around comes around.
Kevin was inspired to learn first aid after his accident, but never imagined he'd use it on the person that saved him. Which leaves the story of Carrie Seabrook and Art Zook. As kids, they were chased down an abandoned runway by a stricken jet that was trying to make a crash landing. But is it true or false?
My name is Bob Pearson. I was a Boeing 767 pilot, and this story is absolutely true.
The plane, quickly dubbed the Gimli glider, had run out of gas at 41,000 feet. The ground and flight crew had confused liters for gallons when they were refueling. That's the end of our episode called Twisted Fate. Were you able to tell the difference between the telltale truths and a fabulous fib? Don't worry if you couldn't. You'll get another chance to separate fact from fiction in the next installment of Urban Legends.